Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Actual real welcome. It's been a minute. Had a bit of time off. Slack motherfucker. What's been going on? Feels like a minute since I've been down here recording. And I guess it has. It's been a few months. What's been going on? Just work, man. Work for a living. Just like Simo says, man, you know. On that grind. What was the last episode? Brian Warner for NAIDOC Week. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a pretty interesting chat. Good to catch up. Had a lot of a lot of technical difficulties getting that one to air. So thanks for all the help, Maddox and Heliport Studios for converting that for me. Thought we lost that one, but we got there in the end. So we're back. This week we've got an old mate coming on, a bit of a legend in his own right, a bit of an OG in the graffiti scene in Australia, in particularly Adelaide. Most of y'all would have seen he's got a book out at the moment, so let's rip into it and talk to him about it and stop fucking around. What's up, PHO? Big fella, welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, mate.
How you been, mate? It's been a fucking long time between drinks, mate.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, no, I've been pretty busy, mate. Obviously, working on the book.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, mate.
Oh, shit. Like I said, thanks for coming on, mate. I'm looking forward to it. We had a chat the other week, but I'll be looking forward to having a good chat. It's been a long time, and as we just said a moment ago before we were recording, I've had an old number of yours. So over the years, I've been sending you messages, and I'm like, he mustn't want to have anything to do with me anymore.
Yeah, mate. Sorry about that.
When I interviewed Sol, I'm like, you haven't got a contact for PHO, have you? And he's like, yeah, speak to him all the time. Oh, fuck.
I'm not that hard to find, mate.
Oh, fuck. Funny shit. Alrighty. So what I got here is I just wanted to say something and then get into some questions and have a bit of a chat, mate, and work our way through to the amazing book that you've just released. So first of all, congrats on the book, mate. I know you've been talking about it for a long, long time. I reckon the last time I saw you in person, you spoke about it, and that's gone on 6-7 years, I reckon.
Yeah, I think probably people got sick of me talking about it, maybe.
And then even then, you'd been working on it for a long time. So the format changed a little bit, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yep.
So, yeah, congrats on that. Also, shout-outs to Puzzle and Perish for their work on the book. We'll get into a bit about it.
Thank you, man. And, certainly and Rank, big part of it all.
Yeah.
A needle on the cover of the limited edition as well.
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, I caught both of them. My normal one arrived today. The other one come the other week. Fuck, I meant to bring it down with me. That's all good. We'll get into a little bit. I just want to start off with telling the listeners how we met, and then we'll jump into your early years. So
yeah.
I met you around 92, I reckon, through Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, that'd be right, yeah.
And me and him were getting around writing 2DF. He was in CAF, and we started up 2DF, just a little bit of a vandal fucking squad around the area. And one stage you came to Hughes's house, and to be honest, I was a little bit starstruck to meet you. And I remember you did me a little beat, because I used to write beat, no S on the end.
Because you sort of lived across the road from him or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I was living in that flat.
That's right,
those blocks of flats. So you did me a little
across the road around the corner.
Yeah, on Stonehouse. Fuck, that's going back. So you did me a little design on paper, a little beats design. I wish I still had it. It was so dope. It was real nice and clean. But
I remember that.
The one thing that stood out about you to me, mate, was that you were a big name in the scene, but you were not full of ego, and you were really forthcoming with information when it came to art. You really like spoke to me like a normal fucking Joe Blow. You know, you weren't this fucking egotistical prick like some riders were back in the day. And you gave me the time of day, and I was asking you about, you know, can control, and you were really, really open. And there was a time when we were out. It's going back a while, but there was a time when we were out, and some people were, because I was a lot younger than you guys. Well, in the scheme of things, then I was younger, but there was a time when something went down, and you stood up for me. So I always remember that, mate. And you told some of the boys, you know, back off, and that I was.
I don't like bullies, man. You know,
Nah,
it's not,
nah,
it's not on.
no, it's not, is it? So, so I appreciate that, and I took that through my life, you know, with like not really liking bullies and that. So, and that's how me and you met, man. We used to, you know, he was a prick, and if you're listening, you know it. You're a prick, but we ended up being really good mates, man. And yeah. So I've always had a high degree of respect for you, mate, and as do a lot of riders and a lot of people who aren't even in the rider scene. And it's pretty hard not to physically look up to you because you're like fucking the size of a minute ball, man.
Yeah, no, good times, man.
Yeah,
no,
it was. No, it was good. It was good. So going back. Let's go back even further. Can you talk a little bit about your childhood and where you grew up and shit? Where you went, like primary school, high school?
Yeah, I went to primary school. Linden Park Primary School, for most of it really, and Glenunga High School, which was just down the road from it. Because my father taught at Glenunga High School, so it obviously made sense for him to have his kids at a primary school that was close to his workplace.
Yeah, right.
So, and then quite often when we finished primary school, we'd walk down the hill to the high school to meet him and go home from there with him. So, so it was sort of across the other side of the city as well because, you know, we were living sort of half at Mansfield Park and half at Nailsworth at the time.
Yeah, right.
So I got to see a lot of northern sort of graph and that. That was cool. And Oban stuff as well because when I was at my father's down the hill sort of thing at Marden, where Cage lived, just around the corner where Cage lived, and they had the Oban, of course. So I got to see all the start of that as well. So that was cool.
Yeah, so you're from out that side of town.
Yeah, but I think graffiti riders pretty adventurous. You know, we'd travel everywhere, just jump on a train and see what happens. Jump on your bike. You know, that was a pretty old school sort of thing as well. Get around on your bike, and that's how I used to get down to the Oban track and that ride down the hill. And that was a prick getting back up, but one way was good. But yeah, no, it was worth it because you get a chance of seeing these pieces under the bridges and all that. So it was cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of graph along the Torrens in the early days too, under the bridges.
Yeah, and you go tagging on your bike and that, and it's your mode of transport. So that's what you do.
Quick getaway. I sort of feel for kids these days, it's like especially where I'm at the moment. The road I live on at the moment, you can't have a bike. It's one that's too steep, and the cars are fucking hooking along. And it's just that was our life as a kid on BMXs. You know, the street lights come on and you fucked off home, and it's just not safe anymore to do that shit.
Riding barefoot and that, and doing your toes in and all that shit.
3-corner jacks.
Yeah, well, my legs are still hammered from push bikes and that as a kid. Good fun.
Good times. So how old are you when you, so I loosely say get into graffiti. So what I was reading in the book that some of the first tags that you saw, and I can remember my first tag I ever saw. It was so I grew up out the back of the airport in Netley, and I remember seeing this Snoopy tag, and it was like the only thing I'd seen before that was remember those packs of bubble gum and you got the cards.
Yeah.
And they had graffiti, so there was a picture.
Yeah, the graffiti stickers. Yeah.
Yeah, the spray can, and the spray can talking with the puff of paint coming out of him, and so all those tags with all the arrows at the end. So I saw a tag. I was going to ask you about if you knew who it was. It was Snoopy.
Yeah, look, I just had to take a guess. I don't know who it was personally, but I reckon that was Sparky's sidekick. Whoever, I knew who Sparky was, but it was one of his mates, whoever the hell that was. But yeah, I've seen the tag Snoopy with Sparky quite a few times.
Yeah,
and being around that neighbourhood, that would make sense also because that was their neighbourhood where they painted also.
Yeah, crazy. It was in hindsight, it must have been a Dymark because it was just like this bright fucking
Yeah, that was
yellow.
pretty popular back then. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And what about when where all the Greeks grew up? Do you know who Elvis Lives was? No, that was everywhere
uh,
too, eh? So that's some of my first introductions. So that was on my way to my primary school. So I had about a 2 kilometre walk to primary school in Netley. So that was around there, the back of the airport. So what was the first? What's your first time it's on your radar? And then from then, how long to your riding?
I don't remember specifically, mate. To be honest, I mean, I started writing in '85,
Shit.
and I think, I was fortunate in a way. Look, and I've taken a guess here. I don't remember specifically anymore. It's too long ago. But I probably saw Fresh and Funky in the city, either that or I was showing it soon afterwards. But I was fortunate to go to a high school that had riders there,
Yeah.
so I sort of learned it through them. I wouldn't be surprised if they took me to the wall.
So how old are you in
and have a look
'85?
at that.
How old are you in
I think I
'85?
was about 13 or something at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, there are lots of other riders around by '84, but I didn't know about any of it back then. It was all quite new to me.
So
So I led a pretty straight, sheltered existence, I think, also.
yeah,
I mean,
right.
my father was a school teacher and that, so it was pretty straight, pretty strict.
Yeah. Oh, how things change, eh?
Yeah.
Oh shit. So did you start tagging or you straight into piecing?
No, I just started tagging, pretty shit names and pretty shit tags. And, again, I was fortunate. I went to high school with good riders and that, and although, they sort of sledged me in that a bit and that, because that's the school of hard knocks with it all and that when you're a toy.
Yeah.
Again, they did show me where these walls were and take me to places and all that sort of thing. It took me to Telecom Tower for the first time and all that sort of stuff. And, I wouldn't have done any of that. It took me to the bench the first time, showed me Star Wars the first time.
Yeah, right.
And, you really had to be someone to see Star Wars back then and that, it wasn't available.
Nah.
If you weren't in the know and you weren't cool, so to speak, and that, you didn't have it. And I'm telling you, hardly anyone had it. So, I was very lucky like that, So I had a good education with all that.
Yeah.
But, they weren't going to do it. They weren't going to give it away easy sort of thing, and that's just the way it was back then. They weren't arseholes so much about it, but, they put you through your paces with all and that. And,
Kind of like
I did all right in the end.
it's kind of like not a sect or a cult. Or what is the word I'm looking for? Like
Initiation or something.
yeah,
Or,
like the Freemasons. You got to sort of really be invited into it and got to be down.
Well, you just can't be a dickhead sort of thing, really. You know what I mean? And you just got to prove, you got to prove yourself and that, and hold your own and all that sort of stuff, and that takes time. But I just tagged for ages and that, man, and and just tried some pieces and some one-letter things, down the road from my house and that, and you're playing around with hairspray and hobby spray and just stealing whatever spray paint you can get and that, and having a go at it and that, and things out of sheds or whatever, and just building up your confidence with it all. Yeah. But then those guys invited me along to the first pieces as well.
So
then you'll notice in the book like that, the first piece I ever went to with these guys, and that was during the day at Eastwood Roller Skating Rink, and you'll see in the book, was it Crime City? I think the piece is.
Yeah.
And there's a scroll next to it and that, and I'm in the credits.
Yeah, shit.
But I'm not in the scroll because they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't cool enough. But you know what? I didn't mind. So, like that's just the way it was and that, You're allowed to come along and that, mate, and do the pieces and that and fill in and that. But you're a toy. And just remember your place sort of thing and that. You're training. You're in training sort of thing and that, and that's the way it was.
Got to earn your stripes.
And then the next piece I did with them, and now I was allowed to have my name on the scroll. So, you work your way up with it all. It's funny looking back at it now and that, but that's the way it was,
Yeah, well, it's a little, it's a culture, and I guess it's funny how it made its way here because, obviously it's, from the States and New York, and it's funny how quick it was, the education on it of graffiti came to Australia, because we're fucking long way away, and it takes a while for shit to trickle down here, you know. But
Yeah.
the skill levels went pretty quick in Australian graffiti, you know. From when it hit the shores.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Look, we just had a very different scene, I think, in a way. Yeah, I don't know, different sort of paint, different sort of nozzles, different colours, different climate, different train system. It's just, we just had to adapt it in our own way, and that took a bit of time, I think. But you're right, once we hit our straps and that wasn't too bad. I mean, there's some great pieces getting done even in 85 and that, I reckon. That still hold their own, to a certain degree with a lot of stuff these days and that. Yeah, it's not modern looking or anything, but it's still cool and it's still good, still timeless. But there's some bad stuff too. But we just it took us a little while. Yeah. But it's some world class riders here, easily.
Oh fuck yeah, for sure, especially nowadays.
But we were starved for information of how to do it. With the first in the first instance and that as well. So you're just really flying blind and trying to pick up whatever you can from wherever you can and that about how you're supposed to be doing this stuff. And what's possible. If you can't really see what's possible, can change things also. Because I just think most people, anyone that started painting and that was because they'd seen someone else painting.
Yeah, for sure.
There aren't too many people that just invented it out of their own heads and that.
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty rare instance. So you have to see these other examples, and they were hard to come by. But and then Australia was so far behind the times back then as well, with movie releases and just information in general. That took time to come through. But it got here.
Yeah, certainly did. It's funny you say that, like with the education. I remember first time I ever mucked around, I had no concept of graffiti being done backwards, right? So you do the feel first, and then you do your outlines, then you do your key lines. So I remember doing the outline, then trying to colour in, and I'm like,
I don't think that's an uncommon thing for people when they first start to perhaps do that.
And then you got to go.
You're dead right. Yeah.
But
again, I was lucky, because I had these guys that knew what they were doing.
Yeah. But just for them to know what they're doing, like there was no fucking one guy from the States that came over and said, right, this is what we're doing. So it's such innovation there.
I think these guys as well. I remember seeing. I remember vaguely seeing photographs of some of their earlier stuff and that, the two-letter things and all the rest of it. The same sort of stuff I was doing earlier on and that, their experimental sort of stuff and their first outlining and black and all this sort of stuff as well. They don't know any different.
Yeah.
I mean, Cage, for instance, he went down to Goodwood Walls and just started trying to paint there during the day. And you can see in one of these photographs is it's like a yellow and an orange or something or other it is in that, this KY piece.
Yeah.
And he's done the first outline. He's nearly filled it all in and that, and then the cops have rolled up and that, and he's had to run. But just no concept. He just thought I'd just do it during the day and that. Just experimental stuff.
Yeah.
Testing the waters of all sorts of stuff, of what paint you're using, where you're doing it, what time of the day you're doing it, if you're doing it a day at all.
I was talking to So about the Goody Walls and like how synonymous those walls are with Adelaide graffiti, and both lines get to see them, and he was talking about what it was like to be there at night and early hours of the morning and how eerie it is. I never painted them, but I went there a few times with people who did, and just like to be cocky, watch out, and it's an eerie fucking place, man.
Yeah, you're out in the open a bit in that.
Hey?
You're out in the open a bit there, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's like,
but I don't know, somehow it ends up being all right in that.
One of two ways to run. And then we're talking about like the Goody Boys.
Oh, yeah. I never had really anything to do with them. I heard a lot of stuff, and I saw a lot of Goodwood Boys written up and that, of course, and pieces trashed and that, but I never really had any personal involvement with them.
Nah.
But yeah, I know other people did that.
Yeah. No, they didn't like it, did they?
Nah. Problem was, it wasn't their area, so anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're a fair way away. So what was your first tag? Like, do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't know. One of them was Shoke. I remember that much.
Show?
Shoke. Shoke.
Fuck, that's a lot of letters for you, mate.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, I don't know. Look, tags are just different back then and that. This was a bit more of a breakdance and sort of tag name sort of thing and that, playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you used to break?
Oh, I used to try. I was hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. And that's why I just, was more into writing and tried to get involved in that sort of area.
Were you into hip hop?
No, it's no good.
Were you into Sorry, mate. Were you into hip hop music?
Some of it. Yeah, I mean, hip hop wasn't easy to get hold of back then either. So, there wasn't a great deal to choose from. I loved, like Grandmaster Flash and Roxanne Shante. I still do those classic tracks, classic albums. And, there wasn't much to choose from, really. And being that I suppose I wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't old enough and, nightclubbing or anything. I didn't know any DJs.
Yeah.
I just don't think I was old enough and experienced enough in that to really know what was going on with the hip-hop so much. I remember going with my mate Mark. We went to Soul Train and that upstairs in Adelaide Arcade and that and bought hip-hop. But, yeah, he bought, like, Grandmaster Flash party album or something or other, I think it was, birthday party or something or other from memory.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, it wasn't too much to choose from in that. And then, other than that, you're pretty lucky if you found something pretty commercial and, and one of the other sort of record stores, CC Records or Andromeda or something or other.
Oh, fuck, that's taking it back. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Later on, it was a bit different than that, your iced teas and all that sort of shit. But,
yeah. I think maybe Run DMC might have been around.
Yeah.
Beastie
I don't know
Boys.
much about any of that, to be honest. And then there was a radio show on, if I remember correctly, on, I don't know, was it McGill Road or whatever, the old Triple M radio station?
Yeah, 93.
And they had a show years ago called the Hip Hop Rock Show.
Yeah, right.
And they played music and that, it was like Man Parish and all this sort of shit. And that's probably some of the first hip hop I ever heard in that at high school and that when guys taped it off the radio and brought it to school and let me borrow it.
Crazy, man. I wonder
and
who
I'd
was
take it
running
home and play it. Sorry?
I wonder who was running that radio station.
I got no idea, man. Yeah, I was too young.
Because it went on to a few people. Like, there was 93.7 degrees in the shade. And then Kirk had the premium blend. And I think it's still down there doing, community radio.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, this is going way back. This is like bloody 84 or something practically.
Far out.
So, yeah, I don't know who was running it back then. But, yeah, it was pretty hard to get hold of this music, whoever was playing it. So, yeah, they'd just hand around these cassette tapes and that. And, yeah, I remember going home and that and playing it at home. My father, he must have thought I was on bloody from another planet. He was into classical music and that. He just couldn't understand this stuff, but, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? Shit.
But, I still think some of that's classic. And I remember, too, actually, at the time, that's right, we used to listen to like Rocksteady Crew and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty primitive, hip-hop sort of related stuff and that. But I didn't mind all that. I still don't mind it.
Yeah. Do you listen to hip-hop these days?
Because it brings back good memories.
Do you listen to new hip-hop?
No, not really. No. I mean, of course I do, I'm with Ambush or something or other, he's always playing hip-hop or other people, a lot of them always playing hip-hop.
Yeah.
But, not specifically myself. And if I do it, I grab something old, like Tough Crew or Just Ice or something.
Yeah.
No, not so much into all that sort of stuff, to be honest. I like soul music.
Yeah, right.
That's probably what I'm more into these days than that. The Ray Charles and all the rest of it.
Yeah, showing your age, mate. Showing your age.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Don't do anything that's too hard in the heart, mate.
Oh, shit. All right, so... All right, where are we? We're at sort of, you're a young tucker, so you don't really... So when do you start really getting into it? Are you jumping straight into writing Debt?
No, that all came years later and that. So
okay.
I'm playing around with graffiti and that. I'm doing a little bit in 80. I did, one piece in 85 and one piece in 86, one proper sort of piece and that, these guys and that. And we're doing these walls together, as was the fashion back then. Like, you didn't go to a wall with 5 people and do 5 separate pieces. Back then in Germany, went to a wall and that, and you did one piece.
Yeah.
We didn't do this sort of thing, but other people did, with a ghetto blaster or the bloody bloke spinning on his head or whatever and that, the whole background thing and everything and that, But, erotic style, 86 down at Port Adelaide we did was pretty cool. It had a character and a scroll and a simple letter fantasy artist next to it when we were writing fantasy artists. That was, that was a pretty cool piece, I reckon. But I remember when we were doing that too, all these street kids sort of came down the street and that in the middle of the night and that with chains and sticks and that, banging them on the fence and that as they're walking on the outside of the oval, and we're painting the wall on the oval.
That's it.
And so there's 5 or 6 of us or whatever, and they're all trying to hide behind one skinny tree. It was ridiculous. It was like Three Stooges stuff or something. But yeah, they were all moving around slowly as they were sort of moving around the oval and that and past this wall. We're thinking, don't look over, don't look over.
Yeah.
So yeah, they didn't. They just kept going. But yeah, that was interesting. Sorry.
Yeah, you keep going, mate.
Yeah, so we I did that piece in '86 and that, and then some of the guys that got me into writing and that sort of didn't do so much anymore and that. I don't know. I think I ended up sort of leaving school probably around the same time and that. Maybe as part of the way for a year 12. I don't know, it seemed to coincide with me sort of getting more into it, I think. And myself and Cage, we sort of teamed up and that and did a lot of stuff together and that. And that's when we started painting trains and stuff. So, we started painting trains by 87 and it was just on.
Yeah, right.
For young and old by then. So, yeah, 87 absolutely kicked off for me.
And you're full blown. You're into hitting trains in '87. I was 10, man.
Oh, that's all right, mate. 'Cause everyone's got to be born sometime, and that, mate. Like it's just the way it goes.
You're a funny cunt.
A bloke's doing it before me. I get jealous as well. But this is just make the most of what you got. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
But we were getting stuck into '87 and that, and and then by '89. Yeah, well, I suppose we were pretty professional at it by '89 and that.
Yeah.
And things started getting really serious, And then, different stuff happened after that. But, the 80s have got the fond memories for me for sure. Because that was all, experimental and pioneering and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, good fun, eh? What was your first train?
That was the Frozen panel, I reckon.
Really? Fuck, that's tidy as. That's hell neat.
Yeah, well, that was the era of sort of pullbacks and kill rust and that as well.
Yeah.
So, that was all right.
Yeah, it's good pain, eh?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Cage and I obviously organised to go and do that one. We didn't really know what the yard was or anything that, but we knew it was at the end of the line. So we just caught the last train out there with bags of paint. And we'd been out there during the day prior to that, and there used to be this house that used to be right next to the yard and that. You basically just hang out in the house and that and wait till a certain, whenever you thought the time was right and that. And the rules were there were no rules really with any of that stuff and that, and just go in and try your luck in that, and that's what we did. So on the way there, though, we bumped into Risk, because Risk was living in Adelaide then from Mount Gambier, and he was on his way home, and we explained him what we're up to on that. And he said, do you want to come along on that? Because we had heaps of paint. We just shouted him a piece.
Yeah, nice.
And he said, cool, no worries. And he had his outline book with him, because he always did back then. A lot of people did. It was not unusual for you to carry around your outline book. So he always had an outline to choose from on that. And so, the three of us went and did these panels. And we just spent hours and hours in there, and it was just, I don't know, I remember at the time, I don't even know what I was thinking really in that, because I wasn't sitting there panicking away, just finishing this panel. I remember doing a bit, and then I'd go off a bit and do some bombing on that and come back and do some more on that. I just dragged it out for hours.
Yeah, right.
So there wasn't a great deal of urgency for whatever reason. I don't know, well, it was a long time ago. But yeah, it worked out all right.
So I guess it wasn't on anyone's radar as a crime, or something that's illegal.
Oh, no, they were well and truly onto it by then. There have been a fair few trains done by then, that's for sure. Yeah. But still, look. But there are plenty of ways you can come undone, when you don't have any transport and that. You've got to catch public transport all the way out to the train yard at Gawler and back after painting it as well and that, There's plenty of things that can go wrong. Yeah. Particularly when you're fairly well known on that anyway and that, all that sort of stuff. And I stand out. And
yeah. It's like like the Warriors movie.
yeah, it is a bit of a hike in that, There's not too many ways in and out of Gawler, that's for sure. Something goes wrong.
It's a long way, man.
Yeah. And no, it's a very different age back then. But yeah, and you're young and you're bulletproof and all that as well, So that's just the beauty of it all and that. Yeah, great memories. Yeah, it really was.
So just for listeners that aren't from Adelaide, to give them a scale. So you got Adelaide City, and then the trains pull out of Adelaide City. Two pretty well go left and two pretty well go right. So one goes out towards Port Adelaide and Gawler line, and where's the other one? So Largs and what's it called out there again? The end of that one?
You got Noarlunga.
Yeah, no. So that's to the left. There's Noarlunga and Belair. They go all the way to the left, down south of the city, and the other ones go out to the north. And the Gawler line is a long way away.
Yeah. No, it's a good hour and a bit or whatever. Yeah, no, it's a fair hike. And particularly when you're younger, it's really weird. I remember catching the train out that way for the first time and out in Noarlunga for the first time. And it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
And, and you probably haven't travelled that far on a train before as a kid and that, and you think, when's this going to end? But once you go out there a few times, you realise it doesn't seem that far away or whatever, and it's a bit different. But the first time, and then particularly when you're going out north and it's paddocks.
Yeah.
And, platforms that are just nothing really.
Yeah.
And you just think, wow, where are we going? There's supposed to be a train yard out here. And again, what happens if you get chased or whatever? What are you going to walk through all that all the way home? Or, wow.
Crazy.
But, yeah.
So
No, it's good.
What about the Det whole car? What year is that?
89.
89. Can you talk us through that night? Because that's pretty phenomenal. The fact that to paint a whole fucking train with spray cans, and this is not the cans that we have today with fat caps and that. So can you talk us through that night, what you remember of it, and what were the yard set up? They weren't fenced by then, were they?
No, I don't think so. No.
And was it done where it was laid up for years? So if you're coming into the city, it was on the left for years, right? Over the prison side. Was it done there? Or did that train just go to? Yeah, so it was, as you come
as you were coming into the yard.
Yeah, it was on the left. It was laid up for
on
years.
the left-hand side. You had the shed. It was done in the shed.
Okay, so
because it was done on the platform in the shed.
Ah, all right. Well, tell us about that.
Oh, I don't really remember it so much, to be honest, mate. To be honest, a long time ago. But what I do remember was we'd been there. Well, we were at least the third people to go there.
Yeah.
So there was Mez and Mevia and maybe Trade or something or other that had gone and done these trains the first time round. And then we'd come back with them again, and we'd done these top to bottoms and that in there. And we just upped the ante every time and that, And so, when we came back again, these guys, I think, painted for the third time or something or other. And I thought, fuck this, I'm going to do a whole car. So I just planned to do that. And I don't know, I remember sort of half drawing it up at my mum's house. And, I was always impressed by Subway Art. There's a couple of page spread, I think, in Subway Art with like Mitch whole cars and Mad, like they're all silver blockbuster whole cars.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by those two spreads, and I suppose I always wanted to do something that was similar, so that's where I probably got the inspiration from. And I remember it didn't take much paint either.
Really?
I remember it was something like 2 Spartan Chromes, and they must have been high-rise, 2 high-rise Spartan Chromes, and a wattle aluminium or something or other, 250 grammer, and I don't know, a handful of wattle blacks or Kilrus blacks or something they were. Probably wattle maybe.
Right.
And the Spartan Chromes, I remember filling in with those because, well, you mentioned before no fat caps. Well, these sort of did have fat caps because they had this chisel tip on them.
Yeah.
But the paint was that bloody good. You could sort of sit out the right distance from the train and get a pretty thick, 3-4 inch wide, line out of it and that, and just filled in very, very quickly. So it didn't take that much.
Yeah, right. I just imagine you sitting there, like scratching away.
No, it was all pretty straightforward. I think in that. Yeah, it took some time, of course, but
Mm,
yeah, no, I don't remember so much about it. I remember just flashes and that. Really.
mm. It's such a big
Yeah,
scale, like a whole car is such a
yeah,
good big scale, and to get the lettering, so it's inside a shed when you did it, was it? So there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
real
yeah.
standing back and having a look and then walking up again.
A little bit of it. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it was luxurious. Hey, it
And
was on the platform, man. I just thought, screw it, you know.
yeah,
What are these guys crouching down doing panels for?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so it made no sense to me.
you wouldn't have needed ladders, would you? Because you're so tall.
No, not generally, mate.
Oh
But I
shit.
remember one good memory of that whole car was like the next day, and I don't even know what we were thinking. And I was just hanging out in the Adelaide train station because that's what we did back then. That was the bench at the time, I believe.
Mm,
But yeah, talk about red lighting yourself, really. But I'm just hanging out there and that, and we used just to, you probably went there at 12 o'clock or whatever, and that, and waited for everyone to cruise in from their houses and that, into the city and that, and that's what we generally did. And we caught up with one another and got up with some mischief or whatever. But I remember the train came in from Noarlunga and what was there? It was Theme and some other guys on the train and that, CSI guys and that, and Theme just came straight up to me and that and just shook my hand and that and congratulated me and that. I thought that was pretty cool, because that was sort of like, I got on well with Theme and that, but, it was sort of like we were rivals and that, the
yeah,
crews and the lines and that, and that was sort of respect from a rival and that, I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah.
So it gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling.
So I
But yeah,
did.
no, it was good fun on that. And, the fact that it was around for years as well,
Yeah,
faded, trashed, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it was around for years.
yeah, yeah.
Had a
So
good run.
I only ever so it ran.
I know, it had a good run, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. But so
It actually did run one day because they linked all that stuff up years later and that, and they ran it down to Sims Metal, and it was seen running. So it was like a 12 car or something or other, just hammered with all these trash trains that had been, pieced and tagged and stuff around the yard and that over the years, and that all linked up together. That would
crazy.
have been, interesting to see.
Yeah, man, for sure. Because I only
But yeah,
ever
so
saw
it
it.
did fun in that respect.
I only ever saw it dead over in those on the yards on the left. I never saw it.
Yeah, they moved it sort of further down out of the sheds because the sheds got dismantled, and the salvage guys took the materials and all that sort of stuff, and then it moved over the other side of the line on that next to the TJ wall.
Yeah,
So
right.
it moved around the place now over, the coming years and that.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
originally it was in the shed.
it was a burner, man. I just want to jump forward. I got a few questions ahead, but I wanted to because you just touched on it. So when I came up, it appeared like there was a divide in crews, like with the CSI and like 738 and RCF. But looking in the book the other day, you all came up together. So is there any truth to that rivalry / beef with like RCF and 738 and all that?
I wouldn't use the word beef or anything. But there's always a rivalry in that. And I'd like to think that it's generally always a friendly one in that. But the trash talk going on or whatever in that.
Yeah.
There's obviously some, personality clashes between particular people or whatever in that, but nothing major or anything. That's for sure in that,
Mm, mm. So just a bit of competition with the lines.
Yeah, it's friendly rivalry in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I don't know. I'd like to think with the train sort of aspect of things and that, there was always a bit of a competition about who was going to do the most, who was in the lead, so to speak,
Yeah.
scorecard of things.
Yeah.
Who does the first top to bottoms, who does the first end-to-ends on their own, who does the first whole cars. These are all sort of, rivalry sort of aspects, I would think, in that.
Yeah.
Certainly who does the most, and that's always a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Keep pushing each
So,
other.
it's all that sort of stuff and that. But, geez, as everyone knows, that there's plenty of times that we all went together in that on things. So,
Yeah, it was interesting to see in the book like old photos of tents in there, and and like I said, I'm a bit younger than you guys, so I kind of just saw a lot of it from the outside looking in, like just riding the trains and not really knowing any of you boys till a little bit later, and it just sort of come across as like that was you guys were the other side of town, CSI and 738 were down my end of town. So I guess it appeared from a spectator that there was a bit of rivalry, and
I don't know. We got on pretty well in that, though. Like I can remember the first time I met Tense in that, I reckon. I think I was with Chrome or something, rubber. You meet one person, you meet another person. It's just the way it went in that.
yeah.
So I was with Chrome, I reckon. I went round to Tense's house and that, his parents were living there at the time and that and everything. And but they were out that night. And Owen Steen was there and Russ was there, and we were watching this Goldie video on the television and that. Oh, it was fantastic and that. Again, me coming from the other side of the city and that.
Mm.
And we're having a few drinks or whatever and that. And it was great, But yeah, everyone got on pretty well in that. But funny things we did together and that, But there was always this rivalry.
But a healthy one.
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, but we were. Yeah, no, I won't go there with it and that, But there's certain people that we were friends with, and maybe they weren't friends with them or whatever and that, And these things have an effect, the whole if you're friends with him, you can't be friends with me sort of thing, and whether you think that's important or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reasons behind it all and that, it's just a lot of politics, man. There always were. But yeah, certainly, there were sort of line rivalries and that, of north and south and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I never really lived. I never lived on a train line. So I was here, there, and everywhere sort of thing. And I thought it was important to be on every line on that. Really, I tried to, particularly around '89 on that with debt and that, sort of do major things on every line on that. Because that's basically the way it is in that. So yeah, I spent a lot of time around the Hove and Warradale and along the line in general and Christie's and all that sort of stuff and that. But I did elsewhere also.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, I suppose I associate myself more with Outer Harbour line than anything.
That's it, Outer Harbour. That's what I was looking for before. Outer Harbour. Well, if you're going to have a name destroy every train, you need to be doing that, man. Yeah, you were certainly up, mate. I'll tell you that. You were certainly up.
Yeah, no, I made a concerted effort.
So were you in Fuck the Public?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember that was hammered around Goody Station. And I can remember clearly, so another one, southbound, just as you pull up to Goody train station, I'll never forget seeing PHO, Fuck the Public on the shed on the left there. And I just remember, I had no idea who you were, but I remember thinking, what, are they just walking the streets with ladders? Because it was so high up. Better than short jokes, mate. Better than short jokes.
Yeah, but we got up with that one, that's for sure. Yeah, that was a bit of that was an interesting crew because it was sort of like I don't know, it was almost like a movement and that. It was an interesting time.
Yeah. So talk a bit about that. Who, I mean, without, putting anyone in it, but so is that like a conglomerate of a few different crews that are around now? If you say, it's a movement. No,
I think, look, FTP at the time and that, I really don't remember 100% that, mate, but I think maybe Rank made it up.
Yeah.
And then, the thing with it was that anyone could ride it.
Oh, okay.
And anyone did ride it. And that's what I mean. It was more of a movement sort of thing and that, like...
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. I suppose, it was just an anti-public sort of thing and that, because we got the shits with them and that,
Yeah.
I don't know, we just... Yeah, we felt bloody slighted by them for some reason. I can't remember. Teenage angst. I don't know. So, it was more of a sentiment and that, and a feeling and, just a recklessness. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just complete abandon.
All right, let's go into the book. Let's talk about the book, eh?
All
right. So, like I said earlier, congrats on it, and you've been talking about it for a long time. Like, what's it feel like to finally have it out, mate?
It's relief. Yeah, it's a relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, just quite, a bit numb about it all really and that, Yeah, I understand it's an achievement and that, and, I think it's good. But, at the moment I'm just a bit numb of it all and that, and there's still so much more to work through of it from my point of view on that. So, it's not over yet. Perhaps when it is sort of finished for me, so to speak, and that, and I can sort of put my feet up with it, so to speak, and that, and look back, I can sort of, appreciate it a lot more. But at the moment, it's still more hard work. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm the one aspect of it I'm really appreciative of is the fact that it's been so well received.
Yeah, for sure.
Because again, I just had people sort of said you should feel relieved now and you should feel relieved now and all these different stages throughout the process with it all and that, But ultimately, again, an ISBN number was great. That means it's real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a relief.
Mm.
Seeing a test print or whatever and that's a relief.
Yeah.
But it's still not done, Having it finished and in transit and that is a relief. But until it arrives, that's not so good. When it's arrived and then you've got a pallet sitting in front of you, you go, right, that's good.
Yeah.
You go, okay.
Yeah.
Will people buy it? They do. You go, okay, that's a relief.
Yeah.
And then, well, okay, have they bought it and that? Well, they bloody well like it. Yeah. And they have. And you go, right, okay, now I can start relaxing a little bit more on that, Okay, but then you think also, like they're going to have the book for a little while and that, and have time to discern what's going on in there and that, and pick it to pieces basically and find all the errors and that, if there are any, and then let me know, so, and then when that does or doesn't occur and that, wherever it falls, that'll be a relief. But, look, I'm a long way there. I'm a pretty highly strung individual. I don't relax very easily. So, yeah, I should be enjoying this a lot more than I am. But, look, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling from, stuff like my brother saying he's proud of me and all this sort of stuff. Like, that's pretty cool, It's a bit more than just riders. It's family, it's friends.
Yeah.
It's all that sort of stuff as well and that, So, cousins and all sorts of stuff and that, So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not just the graph. It's not just the graph book; it's a book, and it's different to a lot of other ones that have come out. I was surprised with because when I spoke to you the other week, you're like, "Oh, there's not that much writing in it, mate," and I'm like, "Well, fuck." When I got it, I'm like, "Fucking bullshit!" Like, it's good. That's a good element to it because it's not just like a graph mag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I always thought that with a bunch of images and that, however they fall, you're going to have to string it together with something. Otherwise, people are just going to go, "What am I looking at? Why am I looking at this?"
Yeah.
Otherwise they won't understand the images and that, So, yeah, I think some explanation was necessary in that, But, yeah, there was a lot more text and it got cut back and that was the nature of it all and that as well. And it ended up being just right, so that's okay.
Yeah,
it's good.
You need some paint for your next mission. You about to hit the yards and some gals, got no beans. You need some fresh clothes to look dope. You need magazines displaying all the latest graffiti from around the world in Australia. Head on down to Cold Crush Gallery, 109 Huntley Road, South Australia. Alternatively, hit up coldcrush.com.au. They got you covered.
Cold Crush to fucking going a little graffiti.
I feel where you're coming from with that, like the stages, because as you know, I put music out, so it's the same. The music's ready, you're sending it to mixing, you send it to get pressed onto vinyl, you get your test press, it comes back, then you got to fucking sell it, and then you got to wait to get the feedback. So I know what you mean with all those stages. And for me, the relief was selling out, and it's done. It's done now. And I guess music's a bit different because it's like personal. I mean, I want people to like it. At the same time, I make it for myself, so it's like I give a fuck if you don't like it. It was for me to get off my chest, and the fact that you like it is a bonus. But I guess a book is for the consumer, And
also, it was a huge sort of sense of duty with it all as well, and that because I've got to get it right.
Yeah, because you're documenting.
I'm representing a state and that, and a period and everything. I've got a duty of care. It has to be right.
Yeah, totally.
So that weighed heavily on my mind also on that, I remember someone saying to me a long, long time ago of it, that going, well, is it going to be just, Fo's opinion according to, or the history of what Fo thinks, or is it actually going to be the history in that? Well, I hoped it would be the history, mate. I'll be objective with it all on that, That was always the plan in that, And again, hopefully I got the balance right in that. And the whole project was about balance,
Did a fair bit end up on the cutting room floor, so to speak, like photographs and stuff?
No. Yes and no. I mean, images did, unfortunately, in that, but we had a criteria we're sort of following with with what we were selecting also on that, So the photographs had to meet that criteria.
Yeah.
And then also, the book itself, as I was reminded of, throughout the project, and that, like, wasn't my original vision. Nothing was being taken away; it was just being added to. And so when you say things were taken away, yes, okay, a little bit wasn't that, but a lot more got added also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't just a hacking job, and that was also, a hell of a lot of new material added, and yeah.
Because initially, when I spoke to you, it was going to be. This is a decade ago. It was going to be 80 to 90. So why did that change?
Oh, I had a whole heap of different ideas of the book over the years and that, I suppose. And the bottom line is I knew nothing about making a book whatsoever in that when I started this project, and just learned as I went along. And some of the things I learned were that changes needed to be made. And, when suggestions were made, like changing the timeline with it all and that, they made perfect sense. Okay. Oh, see, I've got a background in sort of just loving history and research and that sort of thing. So all this is really right down my alley. I was just going to make a book basically that was sort of a bit more of an historical document and that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, realistically, that's not going to be so appealing when it comes to selling it. And you have to make it appealing to as many sort of groups of individuals out there as possible, just not staunch graffiti writers that dig 80s graph only and that. I mean, not everyone's going to get a kick out of seeing Beat Street sort of pieces and that,
Yeah, yeah.
I will, you will, plenty will, but not as many as necessary to, quite frankly, get the thing funded through a publisher and to make it saleable at the end of the day.
I think what you did well.
Appealing.
I think what you did well was touching on what you're saying there. Because it doesn't have PHO on the front, it has, your government name. And I think if someone was to pick that book up and weren't involved in it, I think it has that crossover element where it looks like a journalist has made that book. Whereas we know you did it, but I think Joe Blow could pick it up and go, fuck, this is a really well done book. And you could get over the line with Joe Blow, even though it is about graffiti.
Oh, that's a nice compliment, man, because that's sort of what I wanted to do. I wanted to sort of write it under two guises, so to speak, and that, there's the participant and then there's the author.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd hoped to do, but I didn't really know where I was successful. And
No, definitely. That was the first thing that struck me was that it could have been, it looked like it could have been handballed to a person who had put multiple books out. That's another question I got. Like, had you done anything like this before? But you've already answered it. So, yeah, hats off, man. Kudos. It's
Oh, mate, I just love the English language. My father was an English teacher. My mum went to university for many years and collected degrees or something, and I've got a background in words and books. I love books. I love words. I love the English language. That's why I love tags. I love, manipulation of the letter, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, it was all, again, right down my alley. So, it's labour of love with all that. And then, to finally have actually created a book, I get a kick out of that. That makes me feel pretty cool. Yeah. And I wish my parents were still around to see it, because they get a kick out of it as well.
Yeah.
Because, again, they're bookheads and that, so they read a lot of them. They never made one, so, that was all right.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't a school teacher. I didn't go to university, but, I put my bit in with the family, so that's all right.
I'm writing a book, but it's fucking difficult, man. And I'm thinking, since I've started doing the podcast, I haven't even touched the book, and and this is my way to go to justify. I don't need to do the book. I'm putting my information out there with the podcast, because I drop little nuggets about myself and what's in the book anyway. And it's just it's a massive thing. Like, because I put out music, cool. There's a beat behind it. There's more elements to the likability of it. This here, there's guests, so that takes a bit of the brunt. To put a book out and go, this is my story, this is what's happened to me in my life, I want you to fucking read about it, and then sit there. I don't know if I could handle that anxiety of fucking waiting, like, and getting the feedback. What did you put that in the book for, man? Like, and it's a lot of work, lot of fucking work.
You just got to keep going with it, mate. That's all. That's, if you're passionate about it, you just got to keep going. Yeah, and again, I had a duty of care as well, you know, so I couldn't give up halfway through or anything in that, you know. There have been so many people let down,
Yeah.
you know, so, yeah, I mean, including myself. I've been let down myself, but I've let so many other people down as well, and that, you know. It's for the state. It's for Adelaide.
Yeah.
Not for me. It's for my childhood. It's for our childhood.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, like, so it's sort of set in stone a bit and that for everyone and that, you know. So, yeah, it's cool.
What does your son think about it?
He hasn't even seen it yet.
Hasn't he?
Oh, goodness gracious, mate. He's a young man and he's a busy social life. Look, it's been up and down that, mate. He's got a new job and went to Queensland and had to go in isolation for 14 days. And
Jesus.
so he hasn't had the opportunity to come round. He saw the PDF and that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he hasn't actually seen a finished product. He hasn't flicked through
Is he
an actual book as yet.
Is he into graph?
No.
Not
He's interested in it. He knows everyone. He thinks, you know, some of the writers are absolutely hilarious. And, yeah, that's funny. And, but he's been out to plenty of pieces. He gets a bit bored with it all. He's done a few. I used to always try and get into filling and that, you know. He's good like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, he's like a lot of kids in that. They lose interest fast. So, yeah, it's a bit hard to keep engaged.
Especially these days.
But no, he's always been pretty cool with it. He's had a hell of an education with it all. He really has.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have.
I mean, he's been in the Bronx with me and that, you know, painting. He's met Nicer, you know, hanging out with Brim and bloody Shane 125 and that. There aren't too many kids that can say they've done that.
Fuck.
That's pretty cool, man. Eating pizza with them all and that. And they're all talking to him and that and treating him like an equal. Like, yeah. I don't even know if he understands at all, but yeah.
Yeah, who they are.
He doesn't tell me, but I reckon he tells his mate.
Yeah.
He must.
Well, you can't tell your dad. You can't tell your dad to his face. He's cool.
No, you're not allowed to admit any of that. No, it's not so much that, but we did some pretty cool stuff over there and that, you know.
Yeah.
He's a great travelling partner and that, you know. No, it's cool. Yeah. Hell of an experience, man. He's only 15.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, we were painting all day and that in the Bronx and out on this on the TAT crew train, myself and Obes. And it was freezing, man. And he's rugged up. Christian, he wasn't interested in helping him. He's just rugged up in 2 down jackets and that with his beanie and gloves and thermal underwear and everything. Sitting there freezing his ass off. Sure, we don't want to do something, mate. No. No. So, yeah, he could have painted in the Bronx too, man, but he didn't choose to. So that's his loss.
What was that like, painting over at what is, you know, they called the Mecca, like to paint in New York, to paint a train in New York?
Yeah, well, it's not a real train, of course, and that, you know, but, look, mate, you know, I think for every writer that's serious about graffiti and that, you know, when you get a chance to go to New York and that, you know, obviously all the years, I went there, I don't know, I think it was like 2015 or something or other and that, you know, and I went there twice, but yeah, 2014, 2015, something like that. And, yeah, once you finally go there, it's all changed, of course, and that because all the old stuff's gone and the old carriages are gone and all that sort of thing. But still, yeah, it's got a good vibe about it. It's an interesting city. I've done a fair bit of travelling before and that, you know. You notice that New York's just like a whole heap of countries rolled into one sort of thing and that, you know. I can understand why people keep travelling back to New York and only New York and don't bother seeing other places so much. Because it's sort of all there in a way, but... yeah, the graffiti history, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah. I said to Christian a couple of times, I said, your dad's having a moment here, you know, we're going over a bridge or whatever. And we were going over that bridge, there's like the Dust of Lizzie whole car on that and Subway Art.
Yeah.
And this isn't lost on me, this stuff, you know. And wow, and I love trains, man. I just love trains anyway. Yeah. The New York train system is just the best train set in the friggin' world, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love concrete and steel and, you know, these multi-layered tracks and the way they wind over one another and all the elevated stuff and all that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The subway action, trains run quickly and all the time and, No, that was pretty cool.
I haven't been there yet. It was on my, it's definitely on my bucket list and it was on my to-do list. Had COVID not hit, probably be there around now. You know, I was going to do Amsterdam and I want to go from New York and then drive a Mustang through to Vegas And,
Yeah, right.
and,
Yeah.
then, and then if my missus leaves us any money after the casinos, drive straight through to LA. So that's
Yeah.
that's my bucket list, to just drive across America. Because
Yeah, that'd be good.
we see so much of the movies, man, that like Australia's very Americanized, and we just it gets trickled down. So I guess that's kind of
Yeah.
cliche what I want to do, but yeah, that's what I want to do. I'll get there when
No, that's fair enough, mate.
when this fucking virus is over. Yes. All right. So yeah, did you meet Scene?
No, nothing like that, mate.
Nah.
I think he lives in bloody. Well, he lives in Vegas, I think, these days.
Does he?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of these guys don't live in New York anymore. I mean, some do, but yeah, a lot don't.
Mm.
No, I remember, being on a Tats crew. This was pretty cool. I'm sitting there with Christian. So the Tats crew studio thing. So they rent an office and a space sort of thing in a complex.
Yeah.
And this Tat crew train is in the yard at the back of the complex, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, when you walk into this compound sort of area, they only are in charge of a small portion of it, sort of thing. So anyway, this small portion of it's just basically you walk through a doorway and that, you go up some stairs, and there's a little office there, elevated sort of thing. I don't know what goes on underneath and that. But, it's a very small space they operate in, it seems.
Mm.
And so, yeah, when we went there and that, we're just downstairs because there's no room because there's people all standing up the stairs and that. There's people in the office, the joint's packed sort of thing and that. It's Friday night. They're having beer and pizza or whatever. But, I'm there with Obes and Christian. And I can hear this voice. And I picked it straight away. I just thought, wow. And I said to Obes, I go, is that who I think it is? He goes, yeah. And it was Brim. I knew it was Brim because I heard him on the telly and that for all these years and that, you know what I mean, on videos and all the rest of it. It's got a very distinctive voice. And I was just having a moment. That was another time I was having a moment because, again, that was a bit more of a connection to the old New York.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Shane 125 there, and then, the Tats crew guys in general and that. But, yeah, Brim was a little bit sort of different. He's sort of slightly older generation and that, And these old videos now I'd seen as a kid and that.
Yeah.
Or a younger writer. Yeah, no, it was just like one of my heroes, and I just thought, wow. And then, and then we ended up hanging out with him for a bit, and that, it was pretty damn cool, man, eating pizza and all that sort of shit.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So yeah, that was pretty damn cool.
Mm. I interviewed a few weeks back. I interviewed like a hero of mine musically, but prior to that, like a British rapper called Rodney P. And when I got on the phone to him, I was fucking bugging out because I've listened to so many years of his music. That's real thick accent, man, And I kept laughing. He's like, before we went on air, he's like, "What's wrong, man?" And I'm like, "It's just fucking hearing your voice on my telephone. It's like bugging me out." And he was just laughing. But yeah, so I know what you mean by those moments of pinch yourself.
Well, I think, for instance, what is it? Renegades of Fun, the Africa Bambaataa track.
Yeah.
And there's a film clip.
And Brim's pumping.
And if I remember this correctly, in that there's like a board or something or other these guys have painted, and that's on top of a hill, and they're dancing around it or something or other.
Yeah.
And it just says Renegades, I think, or something or other with a character.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that piece is done by Shane 125 and Brim.
Yeah, right.
And that's like one of my favourite tracks. And I used to love that graph. And then, all these years later, and that, I'm in this room with them out on the other side of the world. Just go, who would have known?
Crazy.
But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Yeah. And then, the piece we did in that, and they said they liked it. They liked my, they said they liked my piece, and I thought, fuck.
Yeah.
And because they're not just going to say that.
Nah, Well, they wouldn't.
No, well, that was all right. I thought, yeah, okay, that's cool.
If they're
going to carry on about it, but they did say they liked it. That was good enough.
Yeah, fuck.
No, that was all right, man. No, it was weird.
Yeah. Because it's not like prior to this book, you had no social media presence, so it's not like these days. You can write something about Ice-T and he might fucking retweet it or write back to you. It's like, oh, I've interacted with Ice-T, so this is a real life interaction. You've travelled, the thousands of kilometers, and you've met these people. You know what I mean? It's not, so it's kind of more special than the telephone.
Yeah.
Well,
I was lucky too because I think Brim actually lives in China.
Fuck.
And so he just happened to be back in New York at the time and that, so that was just good timing. And that's the sort of thing that goes on over there, apparently. And I think just after I left and that, there was going to be some sort of exhibition with Scene and Lee and all this sort of shit. And I missed all that. So, it's just that's what goes on and that with these places and that. But, now you got to be in it to win it. And, no, it was a hell of a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
I think, Christian had an absolute ball in that, all the junk food we ate and all the shopping we did. It was unbelievable. It was, and from a father's point of view on that, I say to people, it was just the greatest holiday. We've got 2 weeks, great place and that, with the greatest human being, my favourite human being on the planet, the Earth. It was brilliant.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I can't wait for my lad to get older and get out there and run amok with him.
And it made me wonder as well. I thought, mate, if I was 15 at the same time in New York and that, when I was younger and that, I would have thought I would have liked to have been in New York when I was 15 and that. I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
I think I would have got killed, man. And I can't imagine my father being over there when I was 15, taking me there or anything like that. Like, just, nah.
Maybe to
we probably would have stayed in Manhattan or something or other.
Yeah, to the opera and shit.
I don't know what we would have done, but we wouldn't have been hanging out in Harlem and that, that's for sure.
Oh, great. Yeah, I got to get there one day, man. Got to get there. All right. So back to your book then. All right. So it's another compliment, I guess. Another observation I made, and a compliment is it displays a lot of foresight, in my opinion. Right. So considering there's magazines and books and DVDs for that matter weren't really an idea back when the content of this book was made. Do you? So there's a lot of foresight from the writers to take photos, and I was explaining it to someone at work today. I said that I've got you coming on, and I showed them some pictures online, and they're like, "Oh wow, that's amazing that that's captured." I said it's very fucking amazing that it's captured because a lot of this shit was painted over the next day, and a lot of graffiti's gone. So would you say like photography is part of the element of graffiti? I don't know how I'm trying to word this, but like without the foresight, you don't have this book. Without the foresight, so do you think?
I don't think there is any foresight, mate. I think it's a lot of it's just luck.
Yeah.
But I think certainly, it's in the nature of things that people want to record their work somehow, and that it's generally not that successful. A lot of the earlier stuff.
Yeah. There's no.
But yeah, look, it ends up being a part of it all. I was sort of thinking about it actually even earlier today, that a camera ends up sort of being part of a graffiti writer's kit, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like that, really. Look, there are a lot of things we didn't photograph, a lot of things we didn't bother to photograph. But you catch on quick, I suppose, or probably the hard way on that, and things start disappearing. But it's not always that easy either. I mean, I was pretty lucky, I suppose. My father was right into photography, so he's pretty supportive in that respect. And I couldn't remember. I think my first camera was like a Kodak 126 cartridge film camera, which is okay. But honestly, thinking back now, it was like something out of Fisher-Price and that. It was unbelievable. Just this plastic, bloody ridiculous thing. Like, so like low tech. It's not funny, but it worked.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people had 110 cameras, which were pretty similar as well, just different shape. And my father was pretty good with it, and I think he was fairly supportive.
Of the graph?
Photography and that, really. So getting a camera was one thing, getting hold of film was another. Being able to afford to develop the film was another thing.
Yeah. And then not getting pinched while you were getting it developed.
Oh, no, that wasn't a problem back then, especially on the early days. Now, they had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And back then, my father, I don't know what other people were doing so much, but my father used to send these films away to be developed, and that's what happened. You sent them in the post and that, and they came back in the post developed.
Yeah, right.
So, again, he was supportive of my photography, and that's every now and again I was allowed to throw a roll in and that, and probably get it developed and that, and get it sent back.
Nice.
And then it's hit and miss whether the photos turn out. And, I took ones where they weren't loaded properly later on, and that was 35mm and that, and just wasted films. Other ones ended up obviously being overexposed, underexposed.
Yeah.
I took a whole roll of film and that all through Telecom Tower once in that in 85 and that. It would have been the greatest photographs going on that. But I didn't take them with a flash, so only one of them ever showed out. Only one of them worked out.
Fuck.
That's the one actually in the book where you can see the people going through the window.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's one. That's the only photograph I took of Telecom Tower that actually turned out.
Yeah,
The rest of it, I just have to remember.
yeah, I was just reading that. That's about as far as I got through the book. Actually, reading up to there. So
Yeah.
I went.
So no, I was all hit and miss in that.
Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes the photographs in the book, they're the only ones that exist.
yeah, yeah.
You
That's
know what I mean?
crazy, man.
And there aren't multiple shots, say, of trains and that. There aren't multiple shots of them running for days or whatever and that. That would have been bloody rare back then if that had occurred. Generally, you only got one shot at it. And so it'll be one person with one sequence of photographs, and that's bloody it.
Yeah.
So if they don't show up or however they turn out, that's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, and then it's gone.
You know, it's the night shots. And you know, this sort of, this thing of taking night shots and then, you know, looking for day shots the next day and that. This is all sort of a bit more modern than that, you know.
Yeah.
Down the track and that. Even 88, 89, we weren't looking into it so much and that.
Mm.
But most of the time, other people were photographing, and we're very, very lucky that any of these photographs exist, quite frankly.
Mm. I remember I've got a picture of the Master and the Bad Boys. So my old man, and I just said to my missus tonight, I'm like, I've got a photo of that. And then I looked in the book, and I'm like 85. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing on it? Because I remember specifically taking it. I was on an overland train, so an interstate train.
Yeah.
And I hung out the window and took it. And my old man, he was a good bloke too, and he'd encourage it. He's like, look at that, look at the graffiti. And and I'm like, I took a photo of it. So I got a really good one of the Master and the Bad Boys somewhere floating around. But I used to get out and just like spend whole days later, just go out trying to find pieces. I got photos of said doing the one with all the trains as the letters down out at Bowden. So, so I actually just bumped into him there and like, oh, do you mind if I take some photos? He's like, nah, man. So, and it's just, it's art, right? It's not crime. It's art, and it's gone. So, and you think about like some of the walls along the Noarlunga line where bums just gone bananas over the years. If you got like, you know, what's it called? When you fucking find dinosaur bones, you know, if you got someone to peel each layer of paint off,
you know, like, 2 layers,
you know, what's underneath there, and it's just amazing to me. I've always been drawn to it, always just loved it, always been amazed that, you know, how good you guys can do it, you know, Tans, fucking AK, and you know, it's the list goes on, man. But you know, Hughes. He was a big influence on me back in the day because he sort of let me in the door to have a bit of a look behind the curtains, you know.
Yeah.
But I was never any good at it. But
I remember your tags, mate. All right, what's wrong with that?
I was a good vandal, but it wasn't much of a piecer.
So it's not for everyone.
You know what was amazing is what it did for me. The book, it's such a fucking. If you had a little, you know what would have topped it off? A little scratch and sniff patch with Tuxton smell, mate, and that would have just taken people back to the fucking moment. Because you know the Goodwood overpass with Rank's piece, with the Fielder character, the Cracker, and the Manet. I was just like taken back to going there, like taken back to writing. And I remember when that was there, like I said, we snuck in there and we were a bit younger, and it was a bit of a thing to sort of be around Goodwood, had a bit of a stigma.
Yeah.
You know, so we ride in there or walk in there. And I remember going up to that piece when I was a kid, seeing it, going, how the fuck have they done this, man? So to be taken back to that spot and saying, oh, fuck, I remember that. Like someone just posted that frame picture the other day, you know, that frame piece. And I'm like, fuck.
At T.W. Ingham.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, I remember that. And I'm going to my missus, look at this. She's like, I don't care about that. Why are you showing me that? I don't know. That has no relevance to me. I'm like, but look how neat it is. That was up. I remember that. And, you know, it's just, you know, so it's just that sort of reliving your childhood. So you did it.
I've heard from quite a few people about different pieces in the book and that remind them of, you know, different memories, and generally when they first got started or they did their first piece next to that piece or whatever.
Yeah.
So, no, it's nice that, you know, that the book brings back so many different memories for so many different people. It's brilliant that everyone's getting something out of it like that. It's great.
Yeah. So feedback.
And you don't need to have been a part of it. You don't need to. If you just remember it and you've got fond memories of it, you'll have fond memories of this book.
I felt a little bit envious, a little bit envious that I didn't get a bit more active and like at least have one little one there, because I did a few pieces here and there, but nothing that would have been worthy of the book. And certainly not.
The book was like hard on my heart at times, and that when I was doing it, and that because you're forced to relive.
Yeah.
Your childhood again, and that you're forced to go places, mentally, and that you've moved on from.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it wasn't all roses and that at times, and that different things that went on and that, and it's not much fun growing up as a kid sometimes. But so revisiting it all, and that wasn't so crash hot. Even myself point. And that I look back and I just think, I wish I'd made more of my chances, and quite frankly, with the 90s on 90 to 93, really, I just drank too much.
Yeah.
But before that was good fun.
Yeah, I forgot you used to like a drink. Partial.
Yeah. No, so I waste a lot of opportunities in that, and I can remember so many pieces in that just rolling up and that, just no plan, no design, just freestyling stuff with a hangover, and these are not ideal situations. And then you learn more about other writers in the book and that as well, and I always knew this as well, but again, you go on places you haven't thought about for a while and that. You're reminded about people like Rank and Plea that were just methodical as hell. Kano. This is why they pulled off what they did in that, because they really thought about what they were doing in that, and planned it. Whereas, some of my later stuff, and I was just flying by the seat of my pants, just absolutely fueled on alcohol. It's just ridiculous. I was out of control. But anyway.
It seems like the TDC boys seem to be more... So for me, growing up watching you guys, it was like TDC were like an art movement, right? And so any TDC...
Yeah, well, they all had the same sort of frame of mind, again, of like planning these things out properly and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyone listening, please don't take this the wrong way. In my mind, as a teenager, I saw TDC as the art nerds, right? I saw RCF as half crooks and half riders, and then I saw 738 as riders that were crooks. Do you know what I mean? They were the tougher guys. You were in the middle, and I saw.
You didn't mess around at Hove train station.
Nah, you didn't get off. I mean, there's an old story, and I joke about it with Grassy. Like, we were on a train once, and we were just heading out past Goodwood, and we were just fucking bombing the shit out of it with solid markers and 30 mils and that. And they got on at Emerson, and I'm like, oh no. Like, and they just come up to us and they started yelling at my mate. They're like, "Did you do this?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he yells out, he goes, "This is Grassy's train." And just started tagging all over. So I joke every time we'll put a post up, I'm like, "That's Grassy's post." But,
they're wild times, mate.
Yeah, really, really good. So we've got going to go into something else here I want to ask. So what do you think of graph today, right? And what I mean by that is with, cans and nibs that are made specifically for piecing, and also your thoughts on the commercial side of graph and all the legal elements and how it's for so long it's been frowned upon, and now it's sort of being culture vultured and used on ads and stuff like that. So firstly, what do you think of like the quality of it today? What do you think of how kids can get into it so easily with the nibs and the specified paint and not having to?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm not really that involved with it all. It's the strangest thing. I mean, I just obviously did the book and all the rest of it with the lads, and everyone must think I just sleep, eat, breathe graffiti. I don't. No. I just don't. Like I have other interests, and of course it's a massive part of my life, but I think it's just healthily sort of balanced. I haven't followed sort of modern graffiti in years, and I still don't.
No.
I think even though, I've been on social media in recent times and I'm exposed to graffiti now more than I have been in a very long time, and newer graffiti and that, I suppose, just subconsciously, I'm only following people's stuff that's probably old-fashioned, or the scenes and the Sess and all these sorts of guys and that, and so again, maybe I'm filtering out all this newer stuff.
Yeah.
I do see sort of a newer sort of style in that, I suppose, if I can even be so bold to call it a new style and that. I don't mean in a smart ass way. I'm not educated enough on what's going on out there on that. Maybe it's an old style, mate. I don't even bloody know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough, but there's this sort of I sort of call it sort of more organic sort of graffiti, where it's sort of more of a 3D sort of thing and that. And
Yeah.
I don't really like it. I don't like the cutback sort of stuff that goes on. I don't like a lot of cutback sort of stuff that goes on with pieces and sort of the look it gives a piece.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe I'm just a dinosaur, mate, but I just like the older sort of style pieces and the older manner in which they're painted and that, where doing a clean, straight line, one hit and all the rest of it is the key. And you don't cut back anything because you don't have to, mate, because what's a waste of time? You just did it. It's finished. What do you... I don't understand that, so, if you do it right the first time, what do you need to cut back for? I don't get it. So, yeah, that's just the way I was brought up in that. And again, I'm probably just into older style pieces and that, but I like the older style ones. No, they never get old for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I look forward also, now that I've sort of, I will be freeing my time up and that, I actually look forward to actually having to paint myself.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And, my style is a bit stagnant sort of thing as well in that, because I haven't done anything for so long in that, and, and I need to move with the times a bit with stuff and that, but it'll still retain those basic old school elements as far as I'm concerned and that. I won't be doing this organic stuff. I won't be doing this 3D sort of stuff. I still like the old sort of scene style sort of stuff and that, sign writing sort of related.
Yeah, very neat.
Easy to read.
Yeah,
I don't know, that just, just interests me.
You've always been known for that neat, real...
Yeah, but I tell people as well, I've been writing for like 36 years or something or other, and if I'm not neat by now, I probably should have given up a long time ago. So, and the paint these days, and that's a bloody joke, and that's so easy to use, really.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to ask. Yeah.
And that's why I suppose I don't really get into so much. I looked at my pieces recently and that, and I'm obviously a bit of a bubble fill man and that, and you've seen one fill, you've probably seen them all to a certain degree on mine and that, they don't change too much. So I don't really focus on that. I'm not interested. I like the colours and stuff. I like good colours, obviously, and I have my favourites and everything and that. But, to me, it's more about the style. So, I don't know, maybe, it's not a jazzed up chromia or anything and that, but, yeah. It's not obviously what other people would do so much, but I'm not into smoke and mirrors in that regard.
Yeah, yeah.
I want people to have a look at the style and discern the style and that and rate it on that. And I like to make them all look a bit different and do some different styles and not just do the same old outline like some people do. And
yeah. So what's behind the name? Is it a play on like friend or foe, or is it?
Yeah, it's a play on friend or nah. No, I was having this discussion with someone earlier today and that. I said, obviously the Vietnamese people were hearing that before I started writing Pho. And I came from Mansfield Park, so that was just down the road, so to speak, and that, since the Vietnam War and everything, of course. But, there weren't the restaurants around that you get these days and that, and the name and the terminology, obviously, for noodles and stuff was not as common as it is today. It meant nothing back then. If it had, I may have second thought the whole thing and that, but hang on a minute, so I might misconstrue this, et cetera, et cetera. But the original idea was flicking through the dictionary, I think, and then just coming to the letter F and then finding the word "foe" and going, "That's great." It says enemy, and that's a badass sort of tag sort of thing, and that's what I was after. And then I just sort of thought, no, I want to change that a bit, and that, so I went with the PH, with the phase 2, and then like the A on the end. It was supposed to be like foe, like woe sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was sort of the thought there and that, but I probably didn't think about that too well at all, quite frankly. And so, I'm doing these faux pieces of an A on the end and that, and then different people started calling me Foa.
Yeah.
And that pissed me right off.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so, well, I got sick of correcting people and that, so I just got rid of the A.
Yeah.
And then, obviously sometime down the track and that, the whole Vietnamese noodle thing kicks off and that. And I don't know what people think and that. I don't really care anymore. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If they get a bit wrong, it's up to them. But I'll tell you one thing, man. This is one thing that's extremely amusing. All these people out there that do this, I get random photos and that sent to me of different faux restaurants from all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that's hysterical, man. Like there's Faux King and all sorts of shit. It's hilarious. And people bring me back T-shirts with Mr. Faux and all that sort of stuff. It's hilarious, man, from Thailand and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that. It's quite humorous. And there are other ones of like, I love pho and that. Obviously, it's noodles. Yeah, just shit like that. That's quite humorous, man. So yeah, that never gets old.
I was in Thailand and I sent Tanzi a couple photos. One I think was like Adrock, the company name, and another one was RCF.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, you're all global, mate.
Yeah.
Funny
Yeah, no, it's funny what you see around the place.
Yeah. So did you ever, looking around, seeing, people like Banksy and, graffiti being used commercially these days, did you ever think it would come to this?
What do you mean come to this?
Or just the fact that, graffiti is used in advertising now, and TV ads.
Oh, you think graffiti would? Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I don't know. That's not really a world I'm sort of involved in that, and even when I'm sort of that interested in a way. Again, I'm more of a traditionalist in that, I'm more interested in hearing what people are doing in the traditional way. I think there must be some very successful people out there. I mean, look at someone like that Lee from New York. He, he's a hell of an artist. I mean, and that's the difference, quite frankly. I don't put myself down or anything in that, but I never consider myself an artist. I'm really not.
Yeah, right.
I'm just more of this vandal sort of thing and that, and that's why I'm more into the letters and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. These other guys doing these big corporate bloody jobs and that these days, and now the 3 stories high and all this sort of stuff, scaffolding, et cetera, with big dollars and that. I mean, they're artists, man. They're real artists. Yeah. They live, breathe the whole thing, man. Like I don't want to do that. I've got a normal job, and I do this on the side. It's my second job, sort of thing. It's the hobby, and that's all it ever was, and that's all I ever wanted to be. I don't want to do jobs for other people. I'm just not interested, I'm just not that artist. I don't think it's weird, like. I mean, really, I should be doing this illegally or something rather than that. But those days are well and truly over. But I'm still trying to do the illegal sort of side of it legally somehow and that, So that's a bit of a conflict. But that's the only way I want to do it and that, So, yeah. Look, it makes things a bit harder these days, I suppose. You try and get illegal somewhere and that. And they go, look, I want this sort of cool street art stuff. Yeah. And they go, well, no, actually, all I wanted to do was a full wild style and that with a couple of characters and that and a simple letter over the top and that.
Yeah.
I we'd rather have that other one, please.
Yeah.
This isn't a first-hand experience, but I can understand that's probably what's going to go on. Yeah. It's going to be a bit harder.
A lot of portrait work going on now with legals, like realistic.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in any of that, Yeah, no, every now and again you get some cool dudes that you go, no, I want to get a legal done. And you think, oh, no, they want a portrait or whatever. And they go, no, I want that sort of New York looking stuff. And they go, all right. Now we're talking.
I think Adrock's kind of cornered the market well with his legal stuff because he keeps it him, but he's still I think he still caters to his clientele. Like, he's done a few.
Well, it has to be again. You have to be a real artist. This has to be a labour of love.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. It made me so upset and just paint for people all the time, and I get nothing out of it. But if you're a true artist and all the rest of it, and you find creativity out of it and all that, that's great, and that would work. Just wouldn't for me. Just really wouldn't. I'm just too selfish. I've got no interest in doing anything for them, even for money. Not a chance.
Well, you're a purist, mate. You're a purist.
Yeah, well, they're not going to want what I want. That's okay. I don't want what they want. It's all right. We can agree to disagree.
Do you ever do any canvases? I say that because I'm looking in my studio now. You did me a picture and I'll post it on my story. He did me a wild style BW and a picture of my daughter and me, a character. You know how dope
Yeah.
his characters are. And
Yeah.
I've got a tense one upstairs that Bum did my son's name, and I'm fucking so honoured to have that. Like, my son has no idea. I tell him it says his name, and I'm like, this is tense, and he's like, like. But one day I'll sit him down and pump it into his head how important it is that he's got that. You know, so is that you just have no interest on making
No, I don't
money
really
out
do
of it?
canvases and that either because I'm not an artist, mate. And yeah, I think I lived for over 20 years in a unit as well and that, so I didn't really have the space for that sort of thing. I couldn't set up like a workshop or anything like that to work away at a canvas or anything like that.
Yeah.
I have other hobbies and that, mate, so I just have no interest in stuff like that, quite frankly. And, look, I've painted a couple of canvas sort of things and that, and, I don't know, 4 or 5 over the years and that, and a couple other smaller things and that, but again, no, not really.
You know what I'm getting at here. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah, this is my theory on it all now. This is the problem of it all, right? Now, if I paint something, draw something, whatever, and that, right, and I don't like it, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
If I do like it, you're not getting it. So, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not going to work. So, it's just not going to work in that. So, I'm not going to sit there and paint 5 of them or whatever and that, so I have surplus or whatever and that, because the same rules are going to apply probably. But again, I don't have the time nor the inclination to get into painting canvases and that, to be honest, and that. I'm just, I'm again, traditionalist, more interested in doing the larger work and that. Yeah. Full size and everything and that. But,
so you haven't painted for a while then?
No, I've done, 2 pieces in 2 years. So I did one in each year.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, retired.
You don't lose it with the can control and that, I found, but you do lose it, obviously, because, painting's a very good form of exercise. So, you can end up pretty sore the next day if you haven't painted for a while, that's for sure, particularly at my age.
Squatting down and that.
All that. And, it's just the way I paint as well probably isn't good. And, I haven't been able to focus on drawing anything in a very long time, so obviously that's a bit problematic. And even the last few pieces I did prior to the last 2 years and that were like reworked older outlines and things like that. I'm half cheating in that, getting these things together.
Yeah, right.
Because I have not been able to focus and put energy into painting just graph, just pieces for a very long time because of this book.
Yeah, true.
I just had so much to do and so much to think about, and I'm a parent and I've got work and all sorts of stuff, Again, it's not a full-time job, so, yeah. I just didn't have the energy, the artistic energy in that to be able to be creative with the book and be creative with painting, on a weekend or something or other. It just wasn't possible.
So with the book, the limited edition is 303 copies, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty stoked because I got number 93, so 93 was a good year for me, so I'm pretty stoked with that. But can you disclose how many copies of the other one there are, or is that a secret?
Yeah, you better discuss that with Duro.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what to be saying anything.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. All right, so I've got a couple more, mate, and we'll wrap it up, eh?
Yep.
So what I really want to know, is there plans for a second book, 94 to 2004, perhaps?
Not a hope in hell. Not for me, mate. No.
You're done?
Yeah, that's it. I haven't got another 12 years, mate.
What about fiction novels? Bit of Judy Blume?
Nah, mate. I've put my life on hold like you wouldn't believe. There's so many things, it's not funny. I want my life back. No, you've got no idea, mate. I've moved into a house a while back and now it looks like I moved in yesterday. I mean, I've been able to spend money on things, time on things.
Yeah.
No, I want my life back. And I want, to be able to paint every now and again, because, it's cathartic, man.
Yeah.
And I'm getting cabin fever and that, I'm surrounded by all this graffiti all the time. I can't do any.
Yeah.
And you get inspired. I still get inspired by these old pieces I've seen in these books for all these years. As part of the book for all these years. And, you know, you can't really do too much about it. But you know, no, you know, I'm you know, look, I love words and I love writing and that sort of thing. And that's you know, I don't say never about anything. With some sort of project down the track, it certainly will not be another, you know, the next 10 years or whatever of graffiti in Adelaide and that. I don't have a great personal interest in it in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold the same sort of nostalgia in that for me as the first years did.
Yeah.
Again, because of that pioneering aspect and that, you know, and the innocence of it all and that. And, yeah, it's completely different. So, yeah, it'll be a different angle and I'm not even sure where I'll go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
but yeah, you know, something else on a smaller scale on that, you know, on a crew or one person or something or other, and that might be cool. I don't know, but nah. And again, this current project's not finished. There's a lot more to do yet, so to speak, and that. So I'm certainly not going to be thinking about anything like that. I'm going to see this one through.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, there was some talk of a Sydney book in the works just recently, and you know, there's been talk of these things in various states over the time and that, you know, and you know, maybe they'll get something going on that. That'll be the next cool thing to look forward to. Some other state doing it. I'd love to see a book by every state outlining the history. That'd be fantastic. I'll line up for every single one of them.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be sick.
So no, that'd be brilliant. But no, I won't be, mate. I've hung up my my bloody writing pen for the moment.
Because it just comes across when you see it. Like, and you see the cover, it really comes across like, fuck, he's on here. And you know, and I actually question, I'm like, is he going to run, like, grab the ball and run with this? You know, because it looks so professional, man. Like I said, it looks like, you know, if it was hip hop, looks like the Glenn Friedman of hip hop, you know. But
yeah, well, yeah, that's Puzzle Press, man. That's Duro.
Yeah.
You know, he's a genius of all this sort of stuff, man. You know, you haven't worked with the guy, obviously. You see why he's doing what he's doing. He's got a natural talent for it, man. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, he's just got a real eye for it, and that he knows what looks good. He knows how to handle things, and yeah. Look, I wrote it and collated a lot of the photographs and all this sort of stuff, but you know, he's the one that's the chess master with it all and that. And, you know, we had a certain order with things, and you know, he kept most of it and rejumbled other bits and added other bits and that. You know, he's a genius. So all these sorts of bits and pieces, you know, the image for the cover and that, you know, are his suggestions.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I think it was great that, you know, I think, you know, 9 times out of 10 easily, you know, probably 99 out of 100 sort of thing. And every time he suggested something, you know, I either would agree straight away or I would think about it for a little while and then agree, because it always made perfect sense. He's a logical, intelligent bloke. So why wouldn't you go with it and that?
His book was pretty dope too.
Yeah, and they just get better. And whoever the hell is fortunate enough to do the next publication with him will benefit from his skills and his expertise even further. And my God, that'll be off the Richter scale. I mean, the bloke's like a piece, you know, like a writer with a piece and that, you know. He wants to surpass his previous project.
Yeah, yeah.
And what you guys need to understand also on that, you know, is like there's Puzzle Press, the publisher, and that, and there's Puzzle Press, the writer, so to speak, and that, you know. And he needs to satisfy both camps. He's not just here to impress writers; he's here to impress the design world and that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And he can't just publish books because he's a nice guy and that. He publishes books because it's a living, and he has to do well out of it and that. And he has to, obviously, from a business point of view on that, attract further business and further clients and further food on his table to feed his family. I mean, you know. Yeah, no, he's a smart guy, man. And, you know, I was extremely, extremely fortunate to do the project with the people that I did. Extremely fortunate to do it with him, of course. I've known all of them, you know, for over 30 years, which, you know, it was just a gift. It really was. It was just a gift, you know, that I can work with friends, good friends, real friends, not fake ones, you know, real lifelong friends that you've been in the trenches with.
Yeah, for sure.
And, so to speak, and, you know, you run around with snotty-nosed kids and that, you know, and your teenagers making all sorts of mistakes and that, and then all these years later and that, you actually all have your shit together to a certain degree to regroup and that, and pull your resources and your talents and that. And to pull off something like this.
Yeah, fucking oath.
And, that's absolute magic.
Yeah.
And I can't even think where I would be trying to do a similar sort of project with another publisher.
Yeah.
It wasn't a writer. It didn't understand writers. It didn't understand the mission statement, so to speak, and that. I mean, I don't need to explain anything to Jiro. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. I've got a big smile on my face listening to you.
Right and he knows what a colour, he knows what a colour should look like and that with a print and that. He's not going to get a deep aqua wrong or anything, man. He knows what the colour should look like. Yeah. How many people have got prints back from the bloody photo lab or whatever and that back in the day, and then they screwed them all up because they haven't got a clue what the shit's supposed to look like, man. But, no, absolute brilliant bloke to work with like that, mate. Anal as hell, manic as shit. I was a bit concerned about his health at times because when he is involved with a project, he is involved with a project, man.
Yeah.
And, he's got no time to mess around and he's moving forward. And, I was concerned for him. I'm glad it sort of wound up when it did, man. Because, he does not stop, man. Messages at 5:30 in the morning or whatever. This was not uncommon. I thought, is this bloke for real? Because, with the time difference and that, it's 5 o'clock there. Maybe you're asleep. You go, oh, wow, thanks for waking me up, mate. But no, always good reasons and that. And, hey, you're not sitting back wondering what the hell he's doing, you know what I mean? You're not sitting back going, geez, is he working on anything and that? Oh, he's working all right. He's onto it.
Yeah.
No, but no, just brilliant, man.
So was that always the plan?
No, very cool.
Was that always the plan, or did his book come out and then you guys discussed who? How did it come apart doing it through Puzzle Press?
I can't remember originally how it all started. I know King's Way came out, and obviously that's some time ago now, and a lot longer than I think it was. Time flies. And I know I contacted him at the time and that saying, I'm working on something. And I think maybe I must have got wind that he was working on something. I think it was no secret maybe for quite some time that he and the other guys were working on King's Way in Melbourne.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a surprise that it was finished and it was coming out, I think, but when that eventually happened. But I think I was sort of working on something sort of half-assed at the time and that. And then his book was released, and I thought, wow. And I called him and I tried to pick his brain a bit over things and that, but he was incredibly busy at the time on that, so we just left it at that for a bit. And I just kept plodding along in the background and that. And then we sort of touched base a bit later on that. And because I'd known him for all these years and that, it was just a friend, personal friend sort of thing and that, and he had no publishing situation going on at the time. And he just, so I was just asking his advice basically. And he said, yeah, feel free to ask me and that, But we left him alone and that. And then with the journey with the book and that, I had a number of people that I sort of had arranged to work with me or whatever and that in various aspects and that, and it didn't always work out, but in the end it just ended up being myself and then Rank doing the photographs, and that's how we sort of started off with that. And then later on, Parrish got involved with the layout, and so basically with the three of us and that, text, photos and layout, then we could get a finished product together and that, and it was, it had a few holes in it definitely, but it was sort of 98% finished sort of thing and that. But again, we knew we had a few holes in what we had together as a document, as a PDF. And we thought, because we didn't really know how to wrap the story up, so to speak, either. That was one problem. And we had a bit of a problem with sort of the chapter aspect of it, about what should go when and where and all this sort of stuff, the timeline with it all and that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I was heading over. By that stage, Parrish had moved to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I was heading over to Melbourne to see Parrish to finish off the last of the layout. And then at the same time, I'd organised with Duro to go and meet him, and the three of us were going to have lunch and just show him what we had and get his opinion. Go, look, we're pretty close to wrapping this up sort of thing. We've got to polish a few things here and there and that, get a bunch of quotes, blah, blah, blah. But here, can you have a look at what we've got and see what you're thinking of? We want your opinion. So that was a bit of a sweaty palm moment with all that, to be honest, because I thought, here's a guy who's a no-nonsense individual.
Yeah.
He's going to see this thing we've been playing around with, I've been playing around with for, 10 years or something at that stage. Have we been wasting our time? Have I been wasting my time? I thought to myself.
Shit.
you know, so stick your head in the lion's mouth, so to speak, and that showing the project and that. And he was quite impressed. He goes, "That's really cool, mate. You guys have really got something here and that. Can I give you some advice?" I said, "By all means," and that. He goes, "Yeah, I'd lose this and I'd reshape that. You want to tweak this way and that way and that. That'd be my sort of feelings on it and that." He goes, "But no, man, you certainly got something here. You've got enough here to go to any publisher with, and I think you do all right in that." And then I can't remember 100%, but I think he just called us back later on that day. I remember walking off on that, and I said to Parrish, I said, "I need a drink, mate. Let's go get a bloody bourbon or something." I said, "Wow, man." My heart was pounding on that, you know. I just thought, wow, you know, we've sort of passed the test that we've got someone here and that, you know.
Yeah.
So he walked away. And then, you know, and then he contacted us later and said, "Yeah, I was really impressed by what you saw in that, you know. And, you know, at this stage and that I'm in a situation where I can publish my own work and that. And in fact, that's what I want to do and that, you know, sort of publish other people's, you know, work with other people to publish their books and that with graffiti-related subject matter. How would you feel about working with me and that, you know?" But, yeah, no worries. You know, we'll have a think about it and that and you know, get back to you on that. But we sort of pretty well knew. We thought it was probably going to be a good idea. Yeah. I mean, you know, again, I'd known him for so long and that, you know, I trust him implicitly. I'm not stupid or anything in that, you know, I don't just blindly trust people in that, you know, but I've known him for a long time, man. Reputation speaks volumes on both sides of it all and that, you know, and when you've known someone for 30-odd years and that, you know, bad and good news travels fast and that, you know, it's a damn good track record. And, you know, I haven't heard a bad word about the guy with business and stuff, man, 30-odd years or whatever, you know what I mean, that I've known him. So I knew I could trust him implicitly in that with things and that, you know, that we could have an honest, open lines of communication, which was extremely important. Call a spade both ways. No bullshit. And, he's straight up on that. And, he just discussed a few things again about, you know, there was some stuff that it was open to discussion and debate changing in the book and that, and other bits that are a bit of a deal breaker if we didn't change them in that.
Yeah, right.
You know, or add bits or whatever in that, you know, as far as he was concerned as a publisher, because again, the project had to be it had to be appealing and saleable and returning him what he felt it needed to return him in that for his effort and that, you know, and then financing, you know, a great deal of it and all this sort of stuff, and certainly putting so much of his time in it. And I might add also on that, you know, the amount of sort of time that Giro had agreed to spend on this project and was sort of factored in contractually for this project, and he far exceeded all of that because that's his nature. You know, once he's on to something and that, mate, he's not on the clock, he's on the project. It just has to be perfect. So, you know, we absolutely got our money's worth in that respect, you know. But also with, you know, obviously his effort was just unbelievable with it all and that, you know, and that tells with the finished product. So, you know, I can take credit for content to a certain degree and that, you know, but the whole look of it and all that sort of stuff, you know, that's the genius of Puzzle Press, quite frankly, mate. He knows what he's doing.
That's a good team. Like even with PHO, like he's done a bit of work for me lately. He did the podcast logo. He did my last record. He did the layout and the logo for that, and he did me mates rates, and he's like, you know, for what I paid him, he fucking bent over backwards, and I can still hit him up and go, "Oi man, can you?" Like I had a guest on for NAIDOC week the other week. I'm like, "Oi, can you jerry this up into an Aboriginal flag?" He's like, "Yeah, man," you know. And there's no real. I know what he's worth, and I know what I paid, and I know he's done the righty, and he's in there. and again, I'll say, I'm the fucking, you know, I'm the draft design fucking goose. I send him like, I'll just write on it in my phone. Can you do this? Like I'll go open it in Snapchat. I'm like, can you write this? And he'll just crack up. But that open line of communication for him to call me up and go, I don't think that's what you want, Beats, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what I want? And he goes, how about we do this? And he'll send me something and I'll see it and I'll go, you know what? He's right. He's right. Yeah. That fits better. So I just go, here, man, can you do this? I'll give you creative control. I want this. I want that. I want that. He'll send me back something that's a fraction of what I wanted.
Yep.
but it exceeds what I wanted, So it's
Yeah.
having those professional. He's an artist too, man. Like in
Yeah.
his own right, what he does away from the graffiti, like his graphic design shit. And
I thought it was funny when I was doing layout stuff with him and that, because he goes, "Oh, we could do this page like this, or we could do it like this, or we could do it like this," and he's clicking this, that, and the other, and showing me all these different things, and I'm thinking, yeah, all three of them look fine to me, man. Pick one. Oh, they all look good. Like I don't, geez, I don't know. They all look just as good as one another. I'm confused here.
yeah, do you like this version or that version? Isn't it the same thing? No.
No, but they're all just as good. They were different, but they're all just as good. So yeah. No, I was in good hands in that, and I think an important part of it as well is, Rank and Parrish gave their time absolutely freely, like there was no promise of any sort of recompense whatsoever for what we were doing. There's no guarantee we were going to finish or, blind faith, whatever, yeah, so we just all crossed our fingers and just kept plodding away on that, and yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, it was just for the love of it all and that, and that's what I really thought was cool, and that was one of the provisos for anybody that was actually seriously going to be involved with the project, apart from Duro, of course, because that's a different situation. But they had to be in for the right reasons and that, and those guys definitely were, and so was Duro, because again, you get way more than just some contractual shit with him and that, mate. He's living it with you,
Yeah.
And he's got his own special connection with Adelaide and all that sort of stuff as well that a lot of people don't realise. He's been here and, he's at the first whole car and all this sort of stuff. And, he's all quite modest about that sort of stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit of a gun. All right, mate, I've had you for just about 2 hours now. So I'll wrap it up. I've got like a signature question that I ask everyone that comes on.
Right.
But just quickly, just before that, do you think the golden age of graffiti's done and dusted, or you think there's room for kids to come up and enjoy what you enjoyed, which was portrayed in the book? Do you think there's still room for that? Like that?
Yeah, I think there definitely is, and I think every generation has their own thing going on in that. Yeah. I mean, there was no real train scene, when I was younger and that we created that sort of thing to a certain degree, and then that's changed over time. And what people are up to these days and that, it's a far cry from what we were doing and that, they're doing their own thing and that must have its own appeal. And there's this whole internet thing and, I don't know, they get their own thing out of it and that. I don't think, the basics of it don't really change that so much, really, you just have fun with your friends and that, having a paint.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's ever going to change, mate,
Yeah.
But, the whole pioneering bit of it's gone to a certain degree and that, like, you're not flicking through the bloody yellow pages or whatever and that and visiting all the paint shops to see what they've got and all the stationers and all this sort of stuff. And, it's completely different like that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, every generation just creates its own new, set of obstacles and,
You have
to overcome. And
you have any advice for young riders coming up?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. Just, I don't know. Just be yourself, really, I suppose. That's what it's supposed to be all about. And don't pretend to be things you're not. I mean, it's all about ego and that, but there's a right way of doing it and a wrong way of doing it and that, So, yeah. I mean, the internet and stuff's all about advertisement to a certain degree and that, and these days you can sort of advertise yourself on that. But, I sort of stick to the old-fashioned sort of rules of other people sort of advertising your stuff and that to a certain degree and that. But then, I don't know, it's different, It's sort of marketing these days, really, isn't it? Don't know.
Yeah.
But, if you do good pieces and that, mate, you'll get plenty of them around anyway and that. That's what it's all about and that.
True. It's funny.
Get people talking about your pieces.
It used to be like cloak and daggers and no one knew who was who, and now they're fucking putting it out there all online, and there's still some dudes out there, some heavy hitters, breaking the law, and and then they go on they're almost dry snitching on themselves, on the internet. So. I don't know what goes on again with the younger people and that, with these sorts of things and that. I don't follow it so much. Yeah. Did you have anxiety about putting old works out? Like, any legal ramifications?
No, not particularly. No.
Because when I was
No.
looking through it, I said to Bum once, I said, "Man, I got him illegal on the Seacliff wall, and he
Oh yeah.
and he was doing a tense piece, and I'm like, are you not worried that the whole line is just bombarded with your pieces?" He goes, Nah, cops know who I am. They if they want me, they'll come and get me.
No, look, as far as the book's concerned and that, mate, it's just it's an historical document and that, documenting a social history and that. It's got nothing to do with criminality or any of that sort of stuff. It's not glorifying it or anything. It's glorifying, the innocence of youth, and mullets and marble wash and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, and going back to what I said at the start, it does. You do capture that, and it is very well done, man. So hats off to you and everyone involved, man. I'm really, really proud of you. Really glad you got it done, and it holds a special place in my bookcase, mate.
No, thanks very much, mate. Glad it's there.
No worries. All right, so
everyone should buy one.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll plug it in a minute. So the last one I have is everyone gets this question. Everyone that comes on the show, mate. So if you could write some information, so pretty much one sentence or one phrase, and put it in a fortune cookie and send that back to yourself in time at any age, what advice would you give yourself in that fortune cookie?
Oh God. No, I don't know, mate. I really don't know.
Nothing.
I don't think there'd be any magic words in that would have saved me in that. It just took me a long time to be happy with myself, mate. Learn to live with myself, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, God bless the passage of time, mate. That's all I can say. I don't want to go back.
Always looking
too hard
forward.
the first time round, mate.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. All right, let's plug this book, mate. Where can they cop it? So, normally I would say plug your social media, but it's not. You're not really big on it, and I'm sure you don't want it blowing up too much. So where can they? Where can they buy it?
Yeah, I mean you can. There's via Instagram on RCF David, but I'm just going to direct you straight to puzzlepress.com anyway with one Z.
Yep.
Because that's Giro's the one handling all the sales. So if you do contact me on Instagram, I'm just going to forward you that email address anyway at puzzlepress.com.
Yeah. So
because all the sales are through them. I don't have any.
PUZLE press.com.
Yes.
And I'll put that in the show notes as well, underneath what the show description on the streaming platforms. I'll put a link to it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, mate. Yeah, that's us done.
Get onto the limited edition because they're not going to be around forever.
Yeah, I hit up Duro.
And regardless of what happens, they won't be getting reprinted.
Yeah. I hit up Duro and I'm like, any chance of? And I asked him for a certain number. He's like, nah. The logistics of it is it's impossible. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, he said the same thing to me, quite frankly.
But I was real lucky. I got 93. I was happy with that. I would have 77 would have been good because I was born then. But 93 was a good year for me. I was I was 16 then, so I would have been fully fledged amongst all of that bizzo, man. And that's the end. So 83 to 93. So I was pretty stoked. But look, once again, man, you've fucking done a great job. You have done not only the city proud. I think you've done writers proud. I think you've done the country proud, and bookmaking as a whole, you've done really proud. It's no fucking magazine. It's certainly a coffee table book that can be enjoyed by anyone, and I would implore anyone to go out and buy a copy of it. It's worth having, especially if you're a collector of fine things. So
I'll guarantee you, if you've got any interest in the subject matter whatsoever in that, you have a look at this book and you open it up and that, you will want it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a perler.
That's the truth.
It's a perler. All right, mate, thanks for coming on. It's really good to chat to you, mate. And now that you've got a bit of time on your hands, keep in touch. And
will do, mate.
Pop
Absolutely.
In. If you're up this way, come up and have a spring water because I'm off the piss.
No worries at all, mate.
All right, mate. Good to speak to you, brother. Just stick on the air. Stick on the line. I'm going to stop recording and
yep.
We'll have a chat. All right, everyone. That was Vo from RCF. The book's out now. It is Wildfire, and it's available at Puzzle Press. All right, mate. Peace out, brother.
No worries, mate.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Get down, get down.